Hello and welcome to my escape. Today we're going to be doing my June wrap up. Yes, I'm doing this late, but it was Canada Day. Okay, July 1st was Canada Day, which means, the end of June wrapping up is basically a holiday for me. So we're a little late on this one, but we're still going to get it out there. So in June, I read 7 books and 2 novellas, and I had 5 5-star reads. 5! If you're caught up on my videos, you would know that I did a video maybe 2 weeks ago about all of my 5 stars for 2023 so far, so it was like 6 months or like 6.5 months, and I had 6 5-star reads, okay? And then in the span of 1 month, I've had 5. I've almost doubled my 5-star reads for the year, okay? This was such a good reading month for me. Hopping in on June 1st, okay, I'm not going to do this chronologically, but we're going to start with this because on June 1st, I picked up Losers by Harley LaRue, okay? I picked it up because I wanted something spicy. I went through my saved books on Instagram and I was like, this seems fun. This seems like it's the vibe. So picked it up, got about 5 pages in, and they kept referring back to this like previous event that had happened, and I was like, I just want to know what this event was. And then I googled it and there was a novella, so I went and I read the novella, and that was my first read of the month, and it was The Dare, and I absolutely crushed this. I could not put this down. I was supposed to go camping this weekend, and I ended up, because of how invested I was in this story, skipping camping for the whole weekend so that I could just read this series. I don't know how to get into this series without just getting into it, so I read The Dare first, gave it 4 stars, then I read Losers Part 1, gave it 5 stars, and then I read Losers Part 2, gave it 5 stars. Back to back to back to back. In a span of like 3, maybe 3.5 days, I could not put this series down. So essentially what it is, so the characters right now are post-university, but it kind of flashes back a little bit between high school and where they are now. So in high school, there were 4 losers, okay, 4 rejects. They were friends because they bonded over everyone basically hating them, and there are your 4 guys. And then there's the girl, and she was like the queen bee of the school, head of the cheerleading team, dated the jock, like very like stereotypical setup, and she was a bully, so she bullied them in high school. And then a year after high school, she comes back for like Halloween or something to visit, and they're all still living in the town, and then one guy and her have a very spicy, very interesting time at a Halloween party. And I was like, I've been to a lot of Halloween parties, they did not go like this, but okay, I'm not mad about it. It was so good, brought me in immediately. I was like, Manson, my guy. The one character I'm absolutely obsessed with. Definitely very spicy, but you still do get those like dynamics, and at the end, like the last page, I was just like, you guys are so cute. I literally cannot breathe. You guys are so cute. And I was like, yes, this is where the love story picks up. And then the book picks up, and that's not where the love story picks up. Then you flash forward again. Now you're at the end of university. And I was like, what happened? So then you learn what happened, and now she's back, moved home after university. She's working a remote job, and she's hoping to get a placement here soon. So she's only back for a couple months. She falls in with her old crowd of bullies, the popular kids, and because it's a small town, not much has changed since high school. You still have the bullies, you still have the rejects, or the losers. And the popular kids don't really like that Jessica's kind of talking to the rejects, kind of looking at them like a little bit more than she should be, etc. So they do this big prank against the rejects. The popular kids do this prank against them, which costs severe amount of money and stuff like that, and they let Jessica take the fall to kind of teach her a lesson. Well, I think they taught her the wrong lesson, because the guys are like, okay, you're gonna take the fall for this? You owe us. We have interesting ways to make you pay. I don't know how much more I can get into on YouTube, but it was so, definitely the spiciest thing I've ever read, but it was also just so, I can't say cute because it wasn't really cute, but I felt for all of the characters. I felt for the whole dynamic of it, like each guy to each guy to Jessica to everyone, the group together, like every like little interaction, every little dynamic, every like one character to one character, every like 5 character as a whole. I was obsessed. I was immersed. I couldn't put it down. I needed them to be happy. It was so good. It was so cute. I have not like stopped raving about this over on my Instagram. Oh yeah, there's a plug. Go follow my Instagram. I love this series so much, and now I have to order the series, but they're so expensive. but I will have the physical books on my shelf eventually when I probably have a stable paycheck. So in June, I read another polyamorous romance. I mean, I read a lot of them, so that's not shocking. But this one was a bit different because it truly was like a contemporary. It wasn't even really that dark or like that kinky. So that was kind of like my first step into that. And I did have a lot of fun with it. So I gave it 4 stars. It follows Avery and 3 guys, and 3 guys were in the military together, and they were all kind of were given honorable discharge after a really traumatic incident. So they've all kind of trauma bonded, and they live in one house together. And Avery, girl, is coming out of an abusive relationship. So she is fleeing from domestic violence, and her breaking point was kind of when her husband broke their child's arm. So she took her daughter and she ran. She has no money. He was super controlling. They do get into that. She has no money. She doesn't really have any resources or any connections to kind of get her out of the situation. So she's doing her best. She ends up on the road with this girl, runs across her again, and he's like, the math is not adding up here. You're going to move in with us. We'll hire you. We'll give you a job. You'll be our housekeeper, and you and your daughter can live with us. And that'll be that. Well, that is not that, of course, because the 3 guys are trauma bonded, but then now they're all starting to fall in love with like this woman and her daughter, and there's a dog. We love the dogs are in the story, and it was just so cute. And I told myself that I was going to give up my Kindle Unlimited subscription because I have all of these books behind me to read, and of the 9 reads I read this month, only 1 was a physical book. So I told myself the end of my Kindle Unlimited subscription, I wasn't going to renew it. I was just going to cancel it. I literally went onto my Amazon account and I said, cancel. I had it canceled. And I was halfway through this book when my days ran out. And then I re-downloaded that day in a Walmart because I needed to finish this book. So now I still have my Kindle Unlimited. And again, of the 9 reads, only 1 was a physical book, but we'll get to that. I had to finish it. It was so cute. It would have been 5 stars for me. At that point it was 5 stars, but then the ending, I felt it was very rushed, and I didn't feel like the character development was really encompassed or existent. I feel like I'm big on Einstein's quote of insanity is when you do the same thing twice and expect a different result. That's what I felt like she did a little bit, which was unfortunate because I was really rooting for her and her daughter and just their life, and I was feeling for her so I don't know why I connected with this girl so much, but I was like, oh my god, I need you to be okay. And I'm just but yeah, the ending, the wrap up was weird. They kind of lost any trail of development or anything that they were on. I didn't really feel the connections between necessarily all of the guys. I definitely did have a favorite and a core relationship, and in my polyamorous, I don't love that. It was still a good read. It was still really fun. It was still really cute. So I say, you know what, give it a go. Now we're gonna get into a romance that I did not enjoy. Okay, that I did not enjoy. I have been trying to read Voyeur since February. Just in my mid-year freakout, I said one of the books that had made me the happiest this year was Liar by Fiona Cole, and that was book 5 of the series. Book 1 of the series was Voyeur. So I picked Liar up in February. I picked Voyeur up the next day because I was so in love with that book. I was like, I'm gonna do the whole series. So I went back and started with book 1. I have been trying to get through it ever since. I would read it and either I would be so bored I'd put it down and pick something else up, or I would just be so angry and pissed off with it I would put it down and pick something else up. But I told myself this month it's not going to sit on my currently reads forever because that just irritates me. So I was going to finish it. And I did. And I did. And it was awful. It was as bad as I thought it was the whole time through. It did not get better. I have so many rants about this book. As I go through the books, I like to make little notes on my phone just to jog my memory for when I write my reviews or when I film my videos or anything like that. I'm deciding right now I'm going to do my whole own video on how much I despise this book. So I'll just give you my precursor notes for it, okay? Here's what I wrote. This is taking me forever to get through. I don't think student teachers for me. I literally don't care about either of these characters. This is an instance of toxic age gap. Absolute effing child. I'm skipping the spicy scenes. I just want this to end. This man is a walking red flag. Then I cuss him out for a little bit. And that is literally my whole note page for this book. I felt like I wrote an essay about how much I didn't like this book. So you know what? We're gonna put that dedication to use. You'll get a whole video on it because I am actually riled. It is everything I hate, okay? And I'm okay with red flags. I'm okay with the toxicity, but my line is accept that you're writing a toxic book and just own it, okay? Don't try to just cram it into this box of cutesy and contemporary and oh, this is so great and acceptable. No, okay? If you're gonna write a toxic romance, if your man's gonna be full of red flags, call it a dark romance, okay? Then we can all enjoy it because we know what we're getting into. Don't try to market it to me as something it is not. And suffice it to say, I gave it 1 star. Another contemporary romance I read was One Look. Also didn't like this one. So One Look was like a small town, kind of a sports romance-esque single dad book. So essentially, there's this single dad. He was a professional football player. He's retired now. He's coaching a college team or something like that. So he moves to a town close to his hometown. But anyways, she ends up as his like personal assistant / nanny. Feelings grow, I guess. I didn't love either character. I liked her more in the beginning. I really didn't like him. The whole book I was screaming at him. I was like, you literally don't even like this girl. You like what this girl could do for your life. Like all of his internal monologues would be like, how great would it be if in the future she was in the crowd cheering for me? How great would it be if I could come home after our day of work and rant to somebody? Again, somebody. How great would it be if Penny had a consistent like female influence in her life? Nothing you have said has been specific to this one girl, okay? You're not in love with her. You're in love with the idea of somebody in your life. There is a huge difference. And in a romance, I want the former, okay? I want you to love the person, not what the person can offer to your life. But then, okay, I'm screaming this at him the whole book, okay? I'm like, ah! And then he literally has this moment, and I pulled the direct quote, and it's, did I love her? Or love what she could do for us. And I was like, thank you for saying it. Not in a million years did I thought he would actually pick up on it. Not in a million years. And then he did. And I was like, maybe this book is turning around. Oh my god, give them props. Because I am here for character growth. And just because I don't like a character in the beginning for doing annoying things, if they can acknowledge it and grow from it and change, I'm like, all for that. So then he did. He turned it around. He tried to be more about her needs and her dreams and like incorporating her life with their lives, not just incorporating the idea of her into his life. So he tried to do the balances and the compromises and support her and like all that. And I was like, oh, great, lovely, 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 lovely. And then her dream, which she has been chasing since birth. She wants to be an actress, okay? She wants to be an actress. So she's gotten this part and she's sitting at a bar or something with her coworkers. And paparazzi come, and then her coworkers like pose for the camera because they're all movie stars. And then she's like, is this what my life would be? There'd be no privacy. The paparazzi just follow you around everywhere. Like, yes, everybody on this planet knows how it works. And you're telling me you lived in LA, you did all these auditions, you strived for this was your dream, this was your goal, and you didn't know that? Tell me how. What rock have you been living under? That's not even possible. How was that the epiphany moment? I didn't like her in the end either. I just, no. So I didn't like that book. Gave it a 2 star. Okay, slightly better than Voyeur, but not by much. Okay. The last romance I read was a novella, and it was like an alien romance. I've never read an alien romance before. I didn't really have a desire to read an alien romance, but I like science fiction, and I like romance. And an author reached out to me on Instagram, and they were like, hey, I love your content. I would love for you to be an ARC reader, which is like advanced reader copy. You read it before it's released, and then you like build the hype towards this book. So I was like, I've never done that. I would love to get to go. Sure, I'll take this novella. So I got it, and that was like a really cool experience, and I love that she reached out to me. But I did not like the book. I did not like the book. I'm not going to release the name on here because I just don't really think that's fair. Like, why would I hate on a book that's literally just released? So it's just outside my comfort area. But the story in general, I just found the world was underdeveloped. The plot didn't really make sense and there were a lot of plot holes. The relationship was very surface level, unenticing, didn't care about them, didn't really like either of the characters, didn't care where the story was going. And again, I like science fiction, okay? I do. I like science fiction. I haven't read a lot of it recently, but I do. science fiction. So I thought this would be like science fiction-y, but it lacked any of the science. Just an example, okay? So there's this ship crash on this planet that they can't survive outside of, and the climate control is broken, so it's very, very hot in the cabin, and they're going to die of heat exhaustion, heat stroke, dehydration, stuff like that. The man, or alien male, is so horny around this girl for no reason that he needs to work off his energy by doing push-ups. I'm sorry, you're gonna die of dehydration and heat stroke, so you're gonna exercise? Just deal with the feeling, just process it and move on and think about something else. You don't need to just die faster. If I'm in a spaceship with somebody and we're about to die of dehydration and heat exhaustion, guess what? If they started doing push-ups, I would just push them off the ship, or I'd put them in some like airlock or something. I'd be done. I'd be like, no, this is not what we're doing. Like, what? But anyways, I do have it marked on my Goodreads, so you can go follow me on there if you want the full breakdown of what the book is and kind of my thoughts on it. All the other reviews have been really, really fantastic. So again, if you're into alien romance, it might be for you. To me, it was just like the science wasn't there and the logic wasn't there. But again, alien romance wasn't really what I was looking for. The one physical book I read this month was Arch Enemies. This is the second in the Renegades trilogy. I am loving this trilogy. Okay, I gave this book 5 stars. I gave the first one 5 stars. I gave the second one 5 stars. I'm absolutely loving it. So essentially, this takes place in a world that's kind of a mirror of our own, but like comic book mirror of our own. So you have superheroes and supervillains. There was the age of the supervillain, and then that got taken down, and now it's basically the age of the superhero. She is the daughter of the supervillain, or he is the son of the superheroes. So she decides to bring back kind of the glory days of the villains, who she like believes in and like believes their kind of mandate. The only way to bring this superhero structure down is from within. So she goes into their headquarters, basically applies to be a superhero, and is taken on by his team, son of the superheroes. But they're both questioning like their guardians' like antics and morals and like what's truly right, and like they think things should be done differently and they don't really understand. And you do see like the naivete of the age and everything, because I think they're like 15, 16. But then you also see like the hope and like the black and white of kind of childhood thinking or like adolescent thinking. I just think it's a really good commentary on everything. Like I can't really get into it because it's the sequel, but it did everything for me. And there was a moment in here, okay, there was a moment, and I love a trope that's the nightmare trope. Her supervillain name is Nightmare, so I can't really get into this moment, but if you read the book, the moment with the headphones, I broke. I read it like 3 times and I had to go to bed because I was just like so emotionally overwhelmed and happy. I was like, this is where it ends for me. And I just went to sleep because I was like, I can't. Oh, so cute, so cute, so good. Lived up to everything. I can't wait to get into the third one, but also I need to wait because I can't have it end either. And then actually the last book I read this month was Lessons in Chemistry. This is a fiction book or a women's fiction book, however you want to categorize it. Basically, it's a look at sexism in the 1950s and 1960s. And it was fantastic. It kind of made me hate the world, but also like really appreciate the characters and everything the characters had done and were doing and had gone through. So you follow Elizabeth Zod, and she is a chemist, and she has faced many barriers becoming a chemist because she is a woman in the 1950s. And people don't really take her seriously, and they mistake her for a secretary, or they don't value her work, or even though she's hired as a chemist, she doesn't make the same as the other chemists, and she has to get them coffee and everything like that. Nobody likes her because she's too cold, right? She doesn't have the feminine, mothering, nurturing qualities, whatever you want to call it. Oh, it's so good. I don't even know how to get into it. Like, kind of just like follows her over the course of 10 years, maybe. Jumping to like kind of different times and everything, and the barriers she faces really like everywhere she turns and every aspect she hits. But the book is written so well, but also so weirdly, because it jumps point of views in a chapter. It'll just jump to someone else's point of view, including the dogs, which sounds really weird, but it works. It works. It's phenomenal. And by jumping point of views, you get be talking to a coworker and then it'll jump to her female coworker's point of view and you'll see kind of like the world through her eyes. So it's not just a story of like one woman in the 1950s, it's different experiences from different women that the main character interacts with as well. Also the men in the story, there's both of course good and bad. There's of course both good and bad women as well as men. Some that support and like try to help her and like try to kind of break down those barriers with her, and then there's some that definitely are upholding the barriers and the stereotypes and all that as well. So it doesn't make me happy to read, but was so phenomenally well written, and I would recommend to anyone. Such a good look at time. And then if you can read the interview or like the author's interview at the back of the book, that was also really, really interesting to read about kind of where she was coming from with the story, her own experiences, and where she kind of got her inspiration from. So good. Definitely gave that one 5 stars and really ended off the month on a high because I started the month with the Losers series and I ended it with Lessons in Chemistry. And then in the middle, aside from Arch Enemies, which was a great time, I had a bunch of really bad romance reads. But it is what it is. I did hit my 3 genres, so I had romance, YA or like sci-fi, and just a general fiction. And then I did clear off my currently reading list to Siege and Storm. I just DNF'd. I decided I'm never going back to it. I was only 80 pages in. I've had it on my shelf 80 pages in for like a year and a half now. The first book didn't interest me. I have so much other stuff to read and I'm just giving up on the series. It's not for me. And then I also took off A Court of Wings and Ruins just because I was only like 4% into the book or something like that. So I was barely into it. It's been sitting there forever. And I'm not in love with the series, but I would potentially go back to it. So I'm not DNFing it. I'm just literally deleting it off my currently readings. And if I ever do pick it up again, I'll just have to pick it up from the start. I think that's all I have for you guys for this video. And I will be coming out with a whole video on Voyeur because I have so much more ranting to get out of my system. But I wanted to keep it semi-positive because it's actually been a very divided but a very, very good reading month because The Dare, Losers Part 1, Losers Part 2, Lessons in Chemistry, Arch Enemies, love, 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 love. Oh, so good. I'm off track again. Don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. I post videos every Friday and sometimes on Tuesday when I'm feeling it. So ring that bell for notifications and I'll catch you guys on the next one. Bye.